Introduction to the Perfect Life, From Her Truth Destroyed. Everything. Int. Luxurious, modern home, morning. The sun pours through tall windows. The living room is immaculate, tastefully decorated, warm, lived in. A grand piano gleams in the corner. Narrator, VO. From the outside, it was a picture of perfection. A husband, a wife, 2 kids, a golden retriever, and a house that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Inti, kitchen, continuous David, 42, fit, clean-cut, confident, flips pancakes with one hand while answering a work call on his AirPods. His daughter, Emma, 10, laughs as he makes one into a smiley face. David, all right, I'll be at the office by 9. Yeah, tell Mark to hold the briefing until I get there. Wife, OS, coffee's ready. Alina, 39, graceful, intelligent eyes, walks in. She's effortlessly elegant, her movements precise, almost rehearsed. She places a steaming cup in front of David. David. You're a lifesaver. They kiss. It's warm, but there's something forced in her smile. Narrator, VO, David Hartman. Real estate tycoon, community leader, husband of the year. He had built a life people envied, a life he believed in, a life she had helped create. Inti, home office. Later. David straightens his tie in the mirror. Elena stands in the doorway, watching him with a soft, unreadable expression. Elena, you always look sharp in navy. David, smirking. You mean business navy or date night navy? Elena, quietly. I mean, like someone I used to know. David turns, confused for a second. But before he can ask, their son runs in, excited about a school project. The moment passes. Narrator, VO. He didn't notice the pauses in her words, the moments her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Or maybe he chose not to. Int corporate office. Later that day, David stands at the head of a sleek glass conference table, leading a pitch. Colleagues nod, take notes. He's magnetic, in control. Narrator, VO. At work, he closed deals like a magician pulling rabbits out of thin air. At home, he believed love was about providing, protecting, and being present. But love has layers, and secrets don't stay buried forever. Int, bedroom, night. Elena sits at her vanity, brushing her hair. She glances at David, already asleep, breathing evenly. She picks up a small notebook from the drawer, flipping it open. Her hands tremble. Elena, whispering. You deserve to know, David, but I don't know if you'll still love me once you do. Narrator, VO. The truth she carried wasn't new, but tonight, something had shifted. The weight had grown too heavy to hold alone. The uneasy silence. From her truth destroyed everything. Dining room. Evening. A quiet dinner. Plates clink softly. David scrolls his phone between bites. Emma chats about school while their teenage son, Josh, pokes at his food. Elena listens, smiling faintly, but her eyes drift. Emma, and then Mr. Holloway said my volcano was the best, even though it exploded on his shoes. David laughs. That's my girl, making science unforgettable. Elena forces a laugh, then quickly looks down at her plate. Narrator, VO. The house was still beautiful, but the air had changed. Something unspoken clung to the walls. A silence not of peace, but of hesitation. Int. Living room. Later the kids are gone. David and Elena sit together on the couch. A movie plays, but neither really watches. David's arm is draped around her, but she's stiff beneath his touch. David. You've been quiet lately. Everything okay? Elena, too quickly. Yes, just tired. A beat. David watches her, concerned but unwilling to push. He nods, kisses her temple, and turns back to the screen. Elena closes her eyes, not in comfort, but in conflict. Int. Bedroom, night. Elena lies awake. The clock glows. 2:13 a.m. David sleeps peacefully beside her. She turns slowly, looking at him, studying his face as if trying to memorize it. Narrator, VO. Every night, she rehearsed the words in her head, imagined every possible reaction, but no version of the truth ended without breaking something. Int. Kitchen. Morning. Elena pours coffee. Her hands tremble slightly. David walks in, buttoning his cufflinks. David. Big day today. That waterfront deal finally closes. Elena. David, can we talk tonight? He pauses, sensing something serious. David. Of course. Everything all right? Elena. I just need to talk. Later. After dinner. David nods, curious, but doesn't press. He kisses her forehead and leaves. Elena watches the door long after he's gone. Intna bathroom. Midday. Elena stares at her reflection. She runs a hand over her face, then slowly picks up her phone and opens a draft email. Her finger hovers over the send button. Then she deletes it. Narrator. VO. There's a moment before every storm, a stillness so sharp it cuts deeper than the chaos that follows. She was standing in it now. Int. Kid's bedroom. Evening. Elena tucks Emma into bed. The little girl clutches a stuffed bunny. Emma. Mommy, are you sad? Elena's breath catches. Elena, a little. But not because of you. You make me so happy, sweetheart. Emma. Then don't be sad. Just tell Daddy. He fixes everything. Elena forces a smile, stroking her daughter's hair. She kisses her forehead and whispers, Elena, some things even Daddy can't fix. The confession from her truth destroyed everything. Inti. Living room. Night. A fire crackles softly. The kids are asleep. David lounges on the couch, glass of whiskey in hand, scrolling through work emails on his tablet. Elena stands in the doorway, hands clasped tightly. She's pale, barely breathing. Elena, David, can we talk now? He looks up, notices her trembling, puts the tablet down slowly. David, yeah, of course. What's going on? Elena walks in but doesn't sit. She paces, then stops. Her voice is low, trembling. Elena, I've been carrying something for a long time. Years. I should have told you sooner, but I was afraid of what it would do to us. David, gently. You're scaring me, Elena. What is it? She finally sits, but on the edge, like she might bolt. She stares at the fire, then at him. Elena. Before we got married, I made a choice, a selfish one, and I thought I could bury it, move on, but I can't, not anymore. David, tense. What are you saying? A long pause, her voice barely a whisper. Elena. I was pregnant once, before Emma, before Josh, and it wasn't yours. David's face goes still. He blinks, processing. David. What? You? Elena, interrupting. I didn't cheat on you. It was before we were serious, before we got engaged. I didn't think we'd last. And I didn't tell you because it felt like it didn't matter anymore, but it does now. Because I lied by omission. David's hands tighten around the glass. David. So you had a child? Before us? Elena, shaking her head. No. I had an abortion. I never told the father. I never told anyone, not even my parents. I buried it and built a life with you like it never happened. David stands, stunned. He walks to the window, silent. His breath fogs the glass. A heavy pause. David. Why now? Why tell me after all these years? Elena. Because I look at our children, and I think about the one I never gave a chance. I needed to say it out loud. To someone who matters. And you. You matter the most. He turns. His voice is tight. David. Do I? Because right now I feel like a stranger in my own marriage. Elena, through tears. I'm sorry. I didn't want to break us. I thought I was protecting what we had, but lies don't protect. They rot from the inside. David stares at her. His voice cracks. David, I don't even know what to say to you. Elena, softly. You don't have to say anything. I just couldn't carry it alone anymore. A long silence. The fire crackles. the perfect life begins to unravel, thread by thread. The shattered illusion from her truth destroyed everything. Inti, living room. Late night. The fire has dimmed. David sits alone on the couch, the half-empty glass of whiskey forgotten in his hand. Elena is gone, somewhere in the house. The weight of her confession lingers like smoke in the air. Narrator, VO. Everything he believed about their life had changed in a single moment, not with a betrayal, but with a truth delayed too long. David looks at a family photo on the shelf, all four of them smiling on a beach. The memory feels distant now, like a dream. To her bedroom. Later, David enters quietly. Elena lies on the bed, her back to him. He stands there, unsure whether to speak or walk out. After a moment, he grabs a pillow and blanket from the closet and leaves. Int. Guest room, night. David lies awake, eyes wide open. The clock reads 3:47 a.m. He stares at the ceiling. Narrator, VO. He had built his life on trust, on honesty, or so he thought. Now every memory demanded to be re-examined, every smile, every promise. Int kitchen, morning. The house is silent, the kids are at school. Elena sits at the table, untouched tea before her. David enters, dressed for work but clearly exhausted. David, coldly, I need space. Elena nods slowly, expecting it. Elena, I understand. David, do you? Because I don't think you understand what this did to me. Elena, softly, it destroyed me too, David. Long before I told you. He shakes his head, hurt radiating off him. David number. You got to choose when to feel it. I didn't. Inti, office. Later that day, David stares blankly at his computer screen. A colleague knocks. Colleague. Hey, we still on for the zoning review? David. Not today. Reschedule. The colleague leaves. David shuts his laptop, buries his face in his hands. Narrator, VO. For the first time, success didn't matter. Contracts, profits, they felt like dust. His mind was somewhere else, still trying to make sense of how the woman he loved could hide something so heavy for so long. Int. Car. Evening. David parks in front of a lake they used to visit. He just sits, looking out. The quiet hurts, but it's easier than words. Flashback. XT. Same lake. Years ago. Young David and Elena sit on a blanket. She's laughing, carefree. She says something he doesn't hear now, but her smile glows. Back to present. David closes his eyes. That smile, was it already hiding something back then? Int. Living room, night. Elena folds laundry in silence. The door opens. David walks in. She looks up. He doesn't speak, just walks past her and up the stairs, a ghost in his own home. Narrator, VO. Some truths don't explode. They erode, slowly, silently, until what once felt like a foundation turns to dust beneath your feet. Flashbacks to the hidden past, from her truth destroyed everything. Interior bedroom, night, present day. Elena lies in bed alone. The room is dim. She clutches the edge of David's pillow. Her eyes flutter shut. Flashback. Int. Apartment, 15 years ago. Young Elena, 24, sits on a bathroom floor, clutching a positive pregnancy test. Her face is pale, stunned. She whispers to herself, young Elena. No, this can't be happening. She stares at her phone. A message from David Work says, Dinner Friday? I miss you. She doesn't respond. Flashback. Int. Clinic waiting room. Days later, Elena sits alone, hands clasped tightly. Other women sit nearby, some with partners, some without. The nurse calls her name. Elena stands, eyes wide, legs shaking. Narrator, VO. She told herself it was her decision, that it wasn't the right time, that love, real love, would come later. Flashback. Inti, bedroom. Weeks later, David and Elena lie together in bed, laughing. He brushes a strand of hair from her face. Young David. I think I'm falling in love with you. Elena's smile falters for just a moment, but she recovers quickly. Young Elena. I think I already did. She turns away, tears brimming. He doesn't see. Flashback. Int. Church. Wedding day. David and Elena stand at the altar, radiant. Vows are exchanged. Applause. But as they walk back down the aisle, Elena glances at a woman holding a baby in the front row. Her face tightens. Narrator. VO. The life she built was beautiful, but beneath the vows and the white dress, a silence was growing. Flashback. Int children's bedroom. Years later, Elena watches newborn Josh sleep. She smiles, tears falling. Then she turns away quickly, guilt shadowing her features. Young Elena, to herself, you get to be here. Why didn't I let them? Flashback. Int counseling office. Night. Elena sits across from a therapist. Her hands twist nervously. Elena. I never told him. He thinks he knows everything about me, but I kept this one piece locked away. Therapist. Why not tell him? Elena. Because once I do, it changes everything. Who I am, who we are. He'll never look at me the same again. The therapist is silent. Elena lowers her head, whispering, Elena, conted. Maybe I don't deserve to be forgiven. Flashback. Int. School play. Present day. Elena and David sit side by side watching Emma on stage. She glances at him, proud, unaware. Elena's smile fades. Her chest tightens. Narrator. VO. Every happy moment came with a shadow, a quiet echo of the choice she never confessed. The fear of losing everything kept her silent, until the guilt grew louder than the lie. Back to present, bedroom. Elena wakes with a jolt, gasping softly. The house is still dark. She sits up, holding herself as silent tears fall. Fallout and reactions from her truth. Destroyed everything. Interior kitchen. Morning. The house is quiet. David stands at the counter, gripping a mug of coffee he hasn't touched. Elena walks in, cautious. Elena, you didn't come to bed. David, flatly, didn't feel like pretending. She flinches. Silence stretches between them like a chasm. Elena, I never wanted to hurt you. David, bitterly, but you did. You took my choice away. You built a marriage on half the truth and expected me to keep playing husband like nothing ever happened. Elena swallows hard. Elena, I told you because I couldn't live with the silence anymore. David, you didn't tell me because you were ready. You told me because you were breaking. That's not honesty. That's desperation. Inti Park. Later that day, David sits on a bench with his best friend, Marcus. He's venting, angry, raw. David. 15 years, Marcus. 15 years and she never said a word. Marcus. You two looked solid. I always thought if anyone had it figured out, it was you. David. So did I, but now I'm looking back and questioning everything. Did I ever really know her? Marcus, careful. You still do. She didn't cheat on you. She didn't betray your trust in that way. David. She just erased a part of her life, like it didn't count, like I wouldn't care. Marcus. Would you have? David. Pauses. I don't know. I really don't. Int. Cafe. Same time. Elena sits across from her sister Lisa, who looks stunned. Lisa. You never told me, not once, not even after it happened. Elena, I was ashamed and scared. Then I met David and I wanted a clean slate. Lisa, and now, Elena. Now I feel like I lit a match and dropped it in our home. Lisa, softly. You didn't light it, Elena. You've just been holding it in your hand for too long. Int. Family dinner. Days later. David's parents, Richard and Marlene, sit stiffly at the table. Elena tries to serve food. They avoid eye contact. Marlene. We love you, Elena, but you should have told him long ago. Richard. This family has always been built on values. Trust, respect, truth. David sits, silent, jaw tight. Elena looks at him, eyes pleading. He doesn't meet her gaze. Narrator. VO. What started as a private storm began to ripple outward. through friendships, family ties, and the walls they thought were unshakable. Living room, night. David and Elena sit on opposite ends of the couch, wordless. The television flickers in front of them, but neither is watching. The silence is louder than before, heavier, colder. Narrator, VO. Sometimes the hardest part of the truth isn't the telling, it's surviving what comes after. Consequences begin from her truth, destroyed everything. David's office, morning. David stands at the window, staring out at the city below. His assistant knocks and enters with a stack of papers. Assistant. The zoning approval meeting is in 20 minutes. Your clients are waiting. David doesn't move. He's barely aware of her presence. Assistant, Conted. Is everything okay? You've been distant. He turns slowly, meeting her eyes for the first time that morning. David, I'm fine. Just not in the mood for the usual. Assistant, hesitant. The board's been asking about your progress on the beach development. They're worried about the PR, with your personal life. David's jaw clenches. David. I'll deal with it. He walks past her, leaving the assistant behind with an anxious look on her face. School hallway, lunchtime. Elena stands by the lockers, waiting for Emma. She sees a group of mothers gossiping in hushed tones. As they pass by, one of them, Karen, deliberately makes eye contact with her. Karen. You didn't think anyone would find out, did you? Or maybe you just thought it wouldn't matter. Elena's stomach tightens. She holds her ground, but the sting lingers. Another woman whispers in the background. Mother, whispering. Poor Emma. How could she face this? What must she be thinking? Elena's face flushes. She looks away as Emma walks toward her, a bright smile on her face, oblivious to the tension around her. Emma, Mom, can we go to the park after school? Elena forces a smile. Elena. Of course, sweetie. Luxury restaurant. Evening. David sits across from a high-profile client, looking distracted. The client taps his fork against his glass, growing impatient. Client David. This isn't the first time we've had to discuss this. Your personal life is bleeding into your professional life. You're the face of this project. People are starting to question your reliability. David's hand tightens around his glass. He forces a smile. David. I'm handling it. This deal will go through as planned. Client. I hope so, because if the board's concerns about your image continue, I can't promise anything. The client stands and leaves without another word. David watches him go, frustration building inside him. Living room, night. David and Elena sit in silence. The weight of the unspoken words presses down on them. The phone rings. David picks it up without looking at the screen. David, flatly. Hello? It's his lawyer. Lawyer, VO. David, we need to talk. Your company's image is taking a hit. The board's talking about freezing the development project. And there's pressure from your investors to make a public statement. It's bad, David. David's eyes shut tight in frustration. He glances at Elena. David, I know. I'm working on it. Lawyer, VO. You need to act fast. The longer this drags on, the harder it'll be to salvage the situation. David hangs up and looks at Elena. David, Conted. This was supposed to be our safe place. The one thing that was untouchable. But now it's all falling apart. Elena, softly. I never meant for this to happen. He doesn't respond. Instead, he turns away, overwhelmed. Narrator, VO. The world they had so carefully built was crumbling. Their names, once associated with success, now whispered about in boardrooms, playgrounds, and dinner tables. The perfect life, shattered beyond repair. David's office. David sits in a meeting with the board of directors. Tension fills the room. His once confident demeanor is gone. His face is tight, his posture hunched. Chairman David, the numbers are slipping. We're getting calls from investors. We need a solution, and we need it fast. David opens his mouth to speak, but is interrupted by another board member. Board member. Maybe we need to reconsider David's role. His personal issues have clearly impacted his judgment. David's heart races. His reputation, his career, is slipping through his fingers. Narrator, VO. Trust, once so carefully constructed, was now a fragile thing. And in the wake of that first crack, everything began to fracture. Isolation and regret from her truth destroyed everything. Interior living room. Night. The house is eerily quiet. David sits in his favorite chair, staring at the wall, lost in thought. His phone sits on the table, untouched. The world outside is moving on, but he feels stuck, drowning in a sea of regrets and confusion. Narrator, VO. Regret is a heavy burden, often carried in silence. For David, the silence of his own home was deafening. He'd let the woman he loved slip from his grasp, and now he had no idea how to pull her back. Elena stands in the kitchen, staring at the stove. The boiling kettle hums softly, but she doesn't move to pour the tea. Her reflection in the dark window reveals the weariness in her face, the exhaustion of a woman who finally told the truth, only to lose everything she held dear. Narrator, VO. Elena had spoken the truth, and yet she felt more isolated than ever. The freedom she thought she'd gain had only brought her solitude. She picks up her phone, staring at the screen for a long moment. She's tempted to text David, but stops herself. What would she say? After all this time, after all the damage? Flashback, Inti, hospital waiting room. Years ago. Elena sits alone, clutching her purse tightly. A nurse calls her name, but she doesn't respond. Her face is pale. She stares at her phone. No messages from David. Narrator, VO. Even then, when she had made the decision, when she was alone in that sterile room, she wanted someone. She wanted David. She wanted to tell him everything. But she didn't. And now she carried that choice like a wound that refused to heal. Back to present. Living room. David's phone buzzes on the table, and he reaches for it. It's a message from his lawyer, something about the zoning meeting. He sighs deeply, sets the phone down, and stares into space again. Narrator, VO. His regret was different. It wasn't about the past decisions. It was about the ones he hadn't seen coming. He'd built a life around a version of truth, not realizing it was crumbling beneath him. The kettle's whistle pierces the silence, but Elena doesn't move to turn it off. Instead, she drops her head into her hands, the weight of everything closing in. Int, park, day. David walks alone, aimlessly, through a park they used to visit with the kids. He watches a couple walk by with their children, laughing, carefree. His chest tightens. He had once thought his life would be like that. The life he'd planned, the one where everything fit perfectly. Narrator, VO. He had everything, or so he thought. The perfect career, the perfect wife, the perfect family. But now, all he saw was the shattering of everything he had taken for granted. He pauses by the pond, staring at his reflection. He's not sure who he sees anymore. Not the man he used to be. Not the man Elena once trusted. A stranger. Inti, living room. Night. Elena sits on the couch, her head leaning against the back, staring at the ceiling. She hears the sound of the front door opening, but doesn't look up. David walks in, exhausted. He freezes when he sees her, and the silence between them is thick. David, Elena. I don't know what to say anymore. Elena, softly. You don't have to say anything. David sits on the edge of the couch, not quite next to her, but close enough that she can feel his presence. David, I thought I had it all figured out, and now I'm lost. I don't even know who I am anymore. Elena, quietly. We're both lost, David, and I don't think either of us knows how to find our way back. David looks at her, his eyes searching her face. There's no anger left, just the deep ache of understanding the damage that's been done. David, I should have seen it. I should have noticed the cracks. I didn't, and now I'm here, alone. Elena whispers, You're not the only one. Narrator, VO. There was no solace in truth, only the cold realization that it couldn't be undone. The damage had been done. The life they had built, the love they once shared, had slipped through their fingers, leaving them in the very loneliness they had both been trying to avoid. The choice: forgive or separate from her truth destroyed. Everything. And coffee shop. Afternoon. David and Elena sit at a small corner table, the soft murmur of other customers filling the background. Neither of them speaks. The tension is palpable, thick enough to choke the air between them. Their coffee sits untouched, cooling slowly. Narrator, VO. The silence between them was louder than any argument. Weeks of chaos had led them here, to this moment. A moment where the future of their marriage hung by a thread. A thread neither of them could seem to grasp. David runs a hand through his hair, exhausted, eyes distant. David, finally, voice strained. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know how to look at you the same way. Elena's eyes flicker with the pain of his words. She exhales sharply but doesn't cry. She's too tired for that. Elena, I don't expect you to. I never did. I hoped you would. But I knew it wasn't going to be that easy. Her voice trembles, but she steadies herself, leaning forward, looking him square in the eyes. Elena, conted, I kept this secret for so long because I thought it would protect you. Protect us. But I see now how much worse I've made it. You're right. I took away your choice. But I wasn't thinking about me when I did it. I was thinking about you, about what would have happened if you knew, what it would have meant. David looks away, his jaw tightening. He takes a breath. David, it's not about what you were thinking. It's about what I didn't get to think. You decided it all for me, Elena. And that's what I can't come to terms with. The weight of his words hangs heavily in the air. Elena's face crumples with guilt. She swallows hard, trying to find the words she needs. Elena, softly. I've lived with the guilt of that for years, and I know I'll never be able to make it right. But I love you, David. I always have. David clenches his fists, his eyes dark with frustration and pain. He looks at her, struggling to find the words that match his feelings. David, I don't know if love is enough anymore. I don't know if I can trust you again. Can we go back to what we had? Will things ever be the same? Elena, quietly. Maybe they won't, but maybe that's okay. Maybe we can find something new, something real. But we can't find it if we're both drowning in the past. David looks at her, his eyes softening for the briefest moment. He wants to believe her. He wants to believe that their love could survive this. But doubt clouds every thought. David, I want to believe that. I do. But right now, I feel like I'm losing everything. Elena, we both are. I'm not asking for forgiveness, David. I'm asking for a chance, a real chance, to start over, however that looks, together or apart. I just need to know if there's something left to fight for. David stares at her, his heart torn between the woman he loved and the betrayal he feels. He inhales deeply, searching for the right words to end this moment. David, after a long pause, I don't know what to do with any of this, but I don't want to make this decision out of anger. Maybe we need more time, more space, to figure out what we're really fighting for. Elena nods, accepting the uncertainty. Elena, I understand. I don't expect you to have the answers now. I just wanted you to know that I'm here. Whatever you decide. The conversation lingers in the air between them, unsaid words hanging like ghosts in the space. They both know that something has already broken, and the road ahead will be far from easy. Narrator, VO. The choice wasn't simple, forgive or separate, stay or leave. But sometimes the hardest decision is deciding whether there's still enough love to make it worth the fight. A new beginning or final goodbye from her truth destroyed everything. Int. Living room, evening. David and Elena sit at opposite ends of the couch, the space between them echoing their emotional distance. The room is quiet, save for the faint hum of a clock ticking on the wall. Neither speaks, but the weight of their unspoken words hangs heavy. Narrator, VO. Truth, though destructive, was necessary. It cracked open the foundation of their life, exposing the fractures that had long been hidden. And now, they stood at a crossroads. A choice lay before them, one that could either heal their wounds or drive them further apart. Elena looks at David. He doesn't meet her gaze, his eyes lost in thought. The silence stretches on, thick and unbearable. Elena, softly. David, I'm sorry. For everything. I thought I was protecting us, but I see now that I was only protecting myself from the consequences of my choices. I know I've hurt you, and I know I've hurt myself in the process. David exhales sharply, rubbing his face. His voice is quiet, but raw. David, it's not just the secret, it's everything after. The way we've been living, pretending like everything was fine when we both knew it wasn't. I don't know how we fix that. Elena shifts, her hand trembling as she reaches out, the smallest gesture of connection. He doesn't pull away, but he doesn't take her hand either. Elena, I don't have the answers, but I want to find them. I want us to find a way back to something real. Not the perfect version of us we imagined, but something honest. Something we can build from the ground up. David stares at her, his mind racing. His chest tightens with the weight of everything he's been holding inside. He's been angry, hurt, confused. But what if this is their chance to rebuild? What if they can find a new way forward? David, I'm scared, Elena. I'm scared that if we try, it'll just be more of the same. I can't live in the past anymore, pretending it's not there. Elena nods, understanding. She's felt that same fear, that same hesitation. But she also knows they can't move forward without facing the truth of what happened. And perhaps, in doing so, they can heal. Elena, I don't want to live in the past either, but I'm willing to try, to fight for us, if you are. David's eyes soften, the walls he's built around his heart starting to crack. He looks at her, really looks at her, and for the first time in a long time, he sees the woman he loved. Not the one he thought he knew, but the one who had the courage to face her own mistakes, just as he would have to face his. David, I don't know if we'll ever get back to where we were, but maybe that's not the point. Maybe it's about what we can build from here, from this moment. Elena smiles, her eyes filling with tears. She nods slowly as though accepting the uncertainty that lies ahead. But for the first time in weeks, there's hope. Not for perfection, but for something real. Elena, we'll figure it out. Together, one step at a time. David finally takes her hand. They sit in silence for a long moment, the weight of their shared pain still heavy, but now there's a new possibility, a glimmer of hope. Narrator, VO. The road ahead would not be easy. There would be more pain, more struggles, more moments of doubt. But the truth, though it had destroyed everything, had also laid the foundation for something new, a chance to rebuild, to heal, to love once more. Not the version they had imagined, but the version they could create together.